Got 4 bolts going through a custom welded bracket that is holding the box, or what will be holding the box down to an aluminum bracket that's bolted to the floor of the truck. It looks sketchy, but it's pretty rugged. Had to do some spacing so it would clear the bolt heads, and then had to do some spacing so that again it would clear the aluminum bracket. It's taken me a little bit longer than I wanted to get this done, but I needed to be sure that this box was not going to move around after it's all said and done, because it's going to weigh like who knows how much. Stupid heavy. And then back here I'm going to do some more mounting bolts. I have, you can't see it now. So I've got that bracket spaced out, and it grabs onto this bar from the bottom. And then back here, there's just going to be a flange. Well, a flange. I'm going to have 2 bolt holes in there, and I'm going to have bolts coming up through the wood here and here. I've already got these 2 bolted into the floor with nut certs. So the idea is that you put this board down, you slide it forward, you lock it in place, and then you bolt it down back here. And I have to figure out exactly how much movement that really takes so I can make sure that the box clears the amps and wiring and all kinds of other stuff. It is going to be stupid tight getting this thing in and out. And I may even have to pull the driver's seat to do it, I should say, easily. But that's kind of a given when you try to make a box as long as possible. And then I have to make, oh boy, I've got to cut out the curves and everything to meet up with the factory center console plastic, and those are gonna have to be whatever shape these are. So from here down, I'm gonna come down here. I'm probably not gonna do these, but I am gonna incorporate a piece of aluminum flat bar and a way to screw it down just so that it holds fairly tight. Whatever I do for this piece is probably going to be purely cosmetics, not going to be part of the sub box. It's going to be either carpeted or vinyl, not entirely sure. And then I'm just going to do something this shape for an armrest. And just like before where I had my batteries in here, the batteries are going to be inside, not the sub enclosure, but they're going to be mounted to this right here. So anything before here and back is all part of the sub enclosure. This is whatever I want, basically, and it's going to fit. It's going to fit this. Now I got to change the circuit breakers because I don't like the way that they're mounted. But that easily fits in that area. It'll give me a way to mount them down. And at the same time, I'm going to incorporate the actual vents. Now it's not going to be airtight, but the vents are going to come, or the air is going to come out of those. They're not going to go to any tubes. They're just going to be in the general vicinity under the armrest. And I 3D printed a vent that's going to come out you know, just behind the armrest that splits off in a V to get to the two passenger seats back here. So it's an awful lot to do because I don't actually know how to design all of this stuff in either a computer or a CAD program because there's too many unknowns and my brain is everywhere all the time. But it's at least taking shape. The box is going to be sealed. I was going to go ported, but I've been listening to the pair of 13W3s in this monstrosity of a box that I built for a car probably 10 years ago. I've been listening to them downfiring, sealed enclosure. It's not even the rated size. Like, it's a little small compared to JL spec, and it sounds really good. So just gonna keep it simple. I'll go sealed. And I mean, the airspace will be a little bit bigger, but it should be good. They're going to be, like I said, down firing. There's a lot of room under here, and I'm probably going to double baffle the actual mounting points for the subs. So, you know, in addition to the box itself, that's going to keep this thing flat so that it doesn't bow, it is going to have double mounting points. And funny enough, I think you might actually be able to see all the way under the seats and the box once everything's done, if I keep those seat brackets. I really don't like the brackets that I made. I don't even like the seats, but they were cheap. They need all new upholstery and everything. And it's like, when you've got no real play money to spend on stuff, you kind of take what you can get. And as long as it's safe, you know, this thing's going to have 4 bolts going right into, you know, double-walled sheet metal of the cab. I really don't think it would go anywhere. I mean, you probably got to roll the truck to make it really go, but the steel, the bracket that is bolted to the box is steel, and it's a very short piece that goes under the aluminum. The aluminum is, I think it's 1/4 inch. It might be 3/16. All of the material, I think, is 3/16, but it's doubled up aluminum, and except for the actual mounting points where the bolts go through. But either way, it might bend a little bit, but I don't think it will let go. It's going to have to be one hell of a crash in order to get that to come off. And, you know, there might be a tiny, tiny bit of side-to-side motion, but the difference in thickness between the aluminum and the steel is just enough that I had to taper the very edges of that metal bracket, the steel bracket, to get it to go in there at all. So it fits tight. Like, there's no movement, which is, you know, you need it to be solid, or eventually wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. It's gonna bend itself, and you're going over bumps and stuff, and then it will come loose and cause a problem. But this is all, like I said, just kind of it's my dream. When I bought this truck, I had no idea that I could potentially have, you know, we'll call it 4 captain's chairs and a center console sub box. And then one day I'm like, oh, you know, that center console is kind of modular, where it comes away from the cup holders in the middle and the front. I can probably make something that mates up with that, and, you know, and go from there. And at first I was going to do 4 of my 10s, but I kept modeling using the modeling software, and 2 of my 13W3s does what 4 10s do, and it does it easier in the low frequency range because they're a larger cone, and they still have plenty of snap to them for, you know, for kick bass and stuff like that. So I think I'm on the right track. Good God. This is a mess because when I first had the box built back here, it was a 1010 box sealed, and it could not hit low frequencies at all. At all. But it was tall, it was big, and it covered up all the wiring. The amps were actually up at the top of this instead of down where they are now. I needed to lower them because all of the wiring was too short when I put that board on top of them. You know, there's a big cutout for the wiring in the board, but God, yeah, if you've watched this long, you know, thank you. It's not like I'm doing this for money or anything. I'm just kind of documenting my process and rambling. I mean, I'll send this to a few of my friends who I think would appreciate it. But, you know, this is stuff that I do on the side at the shop that I work for. I wouldn't do this for a customer. This is, you know, way too big of a job and honestly not professional enough to be sold as a service. But it's cool. And, you know, it just helps me grow my skills at least a little bit. But anyway, catch y'all later.